Shekhar, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now. Tell us, break it down for our viewers. What does this mean for entire agri ecosystem, and what kind of benefits will India's farmer community enjoy on account of this FTA?
Yeah, let me start by saying India-UK trade, bilateral trade, has been rising rapidly. 3 years ago, it was $11 billion. It became $13 billion. Last year, it was the $15 billion. Whereas our imports from the UK are between $8 and $9 billion, which means India is actually enjoying a trade surplus of about $5 or $6 billion, which is fine. This UK deal is quite favorable for India, particularly our labor-intensive exports. And I would particularly pick on textiles, gem and jewelry, leather products, etc. But we are now discussing agri. What are the prospects for agri? Yes, the prospects for agri are really good. There is no doubt at all. We have marine products, we have spices, we have processed foods, and we have some alcoholic beverages which are already going to the UK. And I'm sure the volumes are certainly going to rise. At the same time, imports from the UK to India are highly restricted. I think our negotiations have been very positive for India. Therefore, we are not going to be inundated by imports from UK, whereas our export markets to UK are very substantially opened up. And therefore it's positive. This is number one. But believe you me, UK market is not a big market, not a major market. It's a small market in terms of population and consumption, although their per capita income is very high. And therefore, India should try and export as much value added as possible, agriculture related commodities, as I said, marine products, spices, processed foods, etc., etc. But I must also mention that we have to actually cultivate the UK market for major agriculture commodities. One significant sector which can benefit is the organically cultivated fruits and vegetables, for example, from India. There's going to be a rising demand in the UK. We should also encourage India's farmer producer organizations to cultivate organically produced crops directed primarily at the UK market. But more important, let us not jump into any conclusion that we are going to capture the danger, in my view, although it will certainly help boost agri trade between the two countries. India needs to examine what are those non-tariff barriers, if any, that the UK would impose. We are only discussing tariff barriers. There could be potentially non-tariff barriers. Secondly, Indian exporters will also have to closely study UK's food safety and standards law and the standards that are applicable. Therefore, our exports, you will have to meet UK's food safety norms and food standards, which is very important, which is where a series of awareness, training, and education programs will become important. More than that, I would think India and Indian entrepreneurs must encourage entrepreneurs in the United Kingdom to actually come to India, invest in India, and establish backward linkages in India so that they will have captive production from the Indian market, because we have extraordinary biodiversity, we have various agroclimatic conditions, we have 2 or 3 crops a year, we have 2 or 3 harvests a year. Whereas in the UK there's only 1 harvest. Therefore, these are our advantages.
I understand.
If UK were to invest in India, I think it will also open up opportunity for joint venture between UK investors and Indian entrepreneurs to produce here and export to third countries.
Correct. I understand.
Maybe Europe. Maybe Europe. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. I completely get that point. But if you can put a figure and explain which subcategories could likely benefit more on account of this deal. Is it the fruits and vegetables category, tea and coffee, or some other kind of soft commodities that are likely to benefit?
At the moment, spices would certainly benefit. At the moment, India's processed foods would benefit. At the moment, fresh fruits and vegetables would benefit. But this is only a temporary arrangement in the sense that there will be a natural increase in trade between UK and India, but we should actually be looking at a quantum jump. And I'm talking about strategies to effect that quantum jump. And therefore, as I said, spices, aromatic plants and fruits and vegetables, alcoholic beverages, seafood, marine food is an extremely important category of export from India. All these are going to benefit. But allow me to make just one more statement. I'm actually thinking, and I've spoken about it in so many different forums. It is critical for India to realize, Indian exporters and policymakers to realize that you have a trade agreement. This is free trade agreement. Trade is transactional relationship. The free trade agreement is transactional relationship. India needs to go beyond transactional relationship. India needs to go beyond mere trade of import and export. And how we need to strike partnership. India and UK must become natural partners. And in my view, this partnership is possible if we go beyond trade and also look at mutual investment. We look at joint research in various agriculture crops and commodities and food processing sector, and also technology exchange. The UK has its own strengths in technology. We have, of course, our own strengths in research, etc. Therefore, this relationship must now go beyond trade and stand on four pillars, namely trade, investment, joint research, and technology exchange. This is how I would look at the relationship going forward. There will be definitely incremental exports from India of many agricultural commodities that we talked about earlier. But I think we shouldn't rest with that. We must aim for a quantum jump in our exports to the UK, and with joint venture with UK, we must export to third countries. This is how I would look at it.
Understood. We completely get that point. So Indian exporters and Indian farmers are likely to benefit from the UK-India FTA that was signed last week. Mr. Chandrasekhar, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us here on ET Now and helping us understand